Hey guys, so today I've got a video showing you how I'm planting out my onions. I have tested the soil temperature, and the soil in these beds is actually sitting at 7 degrees Celsius right now, so plenty warm for my onions and the leeks. I also earlier this week planted out all my brassicas, so cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli. I did harden these off before planting, so they have been out in the sun full time already for a couple of days before I planted them out here, and they had been slowly adapted to the sun over the course of a little more than a week. These guys in these tiny little pots are really needing to get transplanted, so I just went ahead and did that. Please note that you need to water your transplants right away, even if the soil is damp. In my case, the soil was quite dry. As you can see, it's pretty dusty. And so I did, off screen, grab a watering can and water them in. And I actually finished planting the rest of these, and I would pop them in the holes and actually put water in the hole with the roots right away so that the water would get to where the plants need. And then I watered again after I had put them all together. So once they were all planted in, you can see I've watered them well. I decided that they needed a haircut. They were just really flopping over quite a bit, and so I wanted to give them a trim. This does two things. It means that the plant can now grow straight up instead of being flopped over. And as you might know, the necks of the onions, if the necks get bent over, that signals to the plant to stop growing. And so I want to prevent that from happening at this stage. Many of these stems are bent, but they're not kinked. So they haven't sent that signal to the roots yet. But if it gets particularly windy and they're real bent over like this, they can get flattened pretty easily. So I've just gone ahead and given them a haircut. I did collect some of the better looking greens for using in the kitchen. The other thing that this does is it means that these plants are not struggling to support weak greens while they are reestablishing their root systems. And that can be beneficial for them, especially if they were struggling. It's a good idea to, at the very least, remove any yellowing or pale or floppy foliage greenery off of your onions when you plant them out. It'll just help them to recover faster. And then the new growth can come back in nice and strong. Eventually I filled up my bowl and I decided not to harvest all the rest of them. So yeah, eventually had enough that I wanted to use, and just let the rest of them fall to the ground. I didn't bother picking them all up. As you can see, I've also got some hoops here in this video. I have been covering these with a shade cloth. I've actually been thinking about removing that shade cloth because it's getting quite warm under there, and as these plants are still adapting, it might be a bit too hot for them. But I can still throw the shade cloth over them if it's going to be particularly cold. But as I've said before, onions and brassicas can handle frosts of, in my experience, at least up to -7. So I'm not too worried about it at this time. But it's just nice to have that ready to go if I need it. I was just enjoying watching the birds. They were having a lot of fun. I'm using this kneeling pad because the wood chips are a bit rough on the knees, and the kneeling pad just helps cushion my knees a little bit when I'm bending down so much. It's actually one of the reasons that I really like raised beds, is I can sit on a stool. The lower beds are definitely, the in-ground beds are definitely hard on my knees, and it's hard to bend over so far forward. You're bracing your whole body quite a bit, so it is more taxing. I would eventually like to raise these beds as well, but with the material shortages and stuff, I won't be purchasing anything to do that with, and so it'll be a bit of a longer, slow process. We'll see how it goes. And of course, you can always come along for the ride and see what happens. Next, I'll be showing you how I actually planted the leeks. As soon as I'm finished chopping off the ends of all my onions. So what are you guys most excited to plant this year? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so for the leeks, what I did is I basically planted a hole, or made a hole for them, about 3 times as deep as I actually want them to be. The point here is to blanch the stems. So I have planted them just in the bottoms of those holes, and over the next couple of weeks I'll be filling those in, and that'll help blanch the stems. And here you can have a peek at the cabbages. These guys were under row cover. They're wilting a little bit because the soil was fairly dry by this point. And again, it's quite warm. You can see I've got a little temperature probe under there. I've got the reader for that sensor in the house so I can see how hot it is under my covers. And this is why I think I should probably be removing the covers for the time being at the very least. So I'm just going to go ahead and water these in well. And I think that's about all we have for the video today. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Please leave comments down below. It's so nice to be able to chat with you guys. And we'll see ya. As you can see,